this is a point rooted in American history. If you lived in the United States 100 years ago, 1926, over much of the country was fastened a system of laws that bear a lot of resemblance to what the Nazis imposed on German Jews at Nuremberg. Over maybe a third or a quarter of the country, there were and beyond that, not just in the old Deep South, but in other places too. There were restrictions imposed by race on where you could travel, how you could travel, what facilities you could use, who could marry whom. That extended beyond the South too. Um, it was the need to defend democracy first against Nazi Germany, or to defend American interests first against Nazi Germany, and then against the Soviet Union, that transformed a lot of what Americans regarded as acceptable at home. That the country had to be a democracy at home if it were to defend democracy abroad. And the classic statement of this, I refer people, if they have a chance to look at it, to watch or to read President Kennedy's civil rights speech in 1962, when he made this explicit. He said, "How can we defend freedom in Berlin if we don't have freedom in Alabama?" Uh, and so the United States, to win the Cold War, became a more perfect democracy at home. If the United States gives up on that, the way is set to unravel all those changes that happened comparatively recently, between the 1930s and the 1960s.
There's another example of that as well, which is that in the arguments that were made for desegregation of schools in the United States, in the Supreme Court arguments that were made, the American Justice Department specifically made a reference to the U.S. presenting itself abroad. How can we argue for democracy abroad if we aren't willing to have desegregated schools, here in the United States? So, starting in about the 1940s and 1950s, you're absolutely right that the idea of what America stood for abroad, again, theoretically, it wasn't always true in practice, and what America should be at home, again, theoretically, not always in practice, that those ideas came together. And as they split apart, as the United States becomes something different abroad, you're right that we may find ourselves becoming a different country at home, or certainly the constituency, the people who want us to return to an older way of running the country and older ideas about race and hierarchy. You'll see them saying, well, since we don't have to play this role in the world anymore, why shouldn't we? What do we need civil rights legislation for now?